Hi guys, welcome to Hope with Jonathan podcast. And on this podcast, we will share the patient's personal story with battling kidney disease, dialysis, transplant, and more. Guys, we'll also share stories of hope and encouragement for those that are in need of a living kidney donor. We will also advocate for them, a living donor, to step forward to give them the miracle gift of life of transplant. Guys, based upon my personal near-death experience with kidney disease, I started this streaming show called Hope with Jonathan, and also this podcast, Hope with Jonathan Podcast. Guys, if you want to hear more stories like this, please stay tuned. Hope with Jonathan podcast is a Hope Media production. Never let hope become a memory. Hope with Jonathan podcast is a Hope Media production. Hope with Jonathan podcast is in collaboration with Impact America Media, where we give hope to patients to continue on, stay motivated, inspire, and encourage them to continue in the journey. For more information on Impact America Media, please visit impactamericamedia.com. Again, Hope with Jonathan podcast is in collaboration with Impact America Media. Hey guys, this is Jonathan, the host of the Hope with Jonathan podcast. And hey guys, Hope with Jonathan now has a website, www.hopewithjonathan.com, where you can go over and find out where to follow us on all of our social media links, our podcast, our YouTube channel, and much more. Again guys, for more information on Hope with Jonathan, you can go to www.hopewithjonathan.com.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about Cayden and about his story, and give us the full scoop. We'll let you tell it.
So Cayden, what we thought was normal, here he comes into the world. At 2.5 weeks old, he was considered failure to thrive. So we were sent to the emergency room, and in our mind, okay, this is going to be a quick visit, maybe get a specialty, and he'll have a few appointments. Yeah. That turned into 69 days of just trying to figure out. So when we went in, he had a sodium of 129. Yeah. Of what you would want it to be 129, but his sodium was 109. So the doctor was shocked that he was even thriving at that point. So we're, thrown into this emergency room, into ultrasounds, into a whole world that we knew nothing about. And
Hey guys, go over to www kidneywarriormerch.com. Submit your story today and get a shot at being the Warrior of the Month. If you're selected as the Warrior of the Month, you'll get a chance to interview with Hope with Jonathan podcast. Whether you're a kidney warrior, kidney dialysis patient, or even a kidney transplant patient, or maybe you've just been diagnosed with kidney disease, go over to www.kidneywarriormerch.com and submit your story today. Kidney Warrior Merch is a supporter of Hope with Jonathan podcast. Again, guys, that's www.kidneywarriormerch.com. Hey guys, welcome back to Hope with Jonathan podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Trailer. Hey guys, I really appreciate all the feedback and support for the Hope with Jonathan Live and Hope with Jonathan podcast. Really appreciate it. And thanks again for everybody that's went over and subscribed to the YouTube channel at Hope with Jonathan. Really appreciate the love and support. Again, guys, you can go over to my website, www.hopewithjonathan.com, and check out everything that's there. We have warriors that are in need. Check out the friends page. Many different people on there that I'm sharing that are pretty much, doing the same thing that I'm doing, sharing warrior stories, helping people try to find a living donor. So you've got like the Warriors Quest show on there. I'm featuring a Second Chance with Philip Harris Jones Jr. Mr. Kidney's on there. I've got Urban there on there with Steve Belcher. I've got Kidney Solutions on there. I've got Shane Blanchard on there at Midwest Kidney Warriors. You need to go over and check it out. There's a whole lot of different things. I've got merch on there as well if you're interested in all. This isn't for like personal profit. It's basically to help support what we're doing with Hope with Jonathan. So if you guys are interested at all, you can go over, check it out, www.hopewithjonathan.com. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and roll into this podcast. On this week's episode, we have Miss Ginina Swift sharing her warrior story regarding her son, Cayden. Guys, I want you guys to imagine living life as a child battling kidney disease. Not only that, but, and I don't want to give away too much of the story. I want you guys to be able to listen to her story, but imagine being a mom to a child that is battling a chronic illness such as kidney disease and dealing with kidney failure. This is an amazing story. This one's not for the faint of heart. It's an awesome story of inspiration. And I want you guys to really take a listen really closely to this story. This one touched my heart for sure. Like I said, shout out to Ginina Swift. Also, this was brought to us by KWM's Kyle Hawkridge. Kyle had got me hooked up with Ginina Swift, and she was featured. We featured her as the Warrior of the Month on this podcast. So again, guys, I hope you guys enjoy this. If you haven't already been over to KWM Kidney Warrior Merch's website, go over and check it out. They're offering many different ways for you to share your story, whether it's through a message of hope, or if you want to write your bio, your personal story, and share it with Kyle. He'll put it on your website. Also, if you're selected as the Warrior of the Month, you get an interview with Hope with Jonathan. Guys, again, appreciate Kyle, appreciate KWM for what they're doing in the kidney community. Also, definitely want to send a shout out to Ginina Swift and Cayden for Ginina coming on and sharing her son's personal story and her journey as well as a caretaker and a mom of a kidney superhero. And I want you guys to really enjoy this. I'm going to let you go ahead and roll into this podcast. Really appreciate everybody's support. Again, guys, go over and subscribe to the Hope with Jonathan YouTube channel. Really appreciate all the love and the subscribes that I've been getting. And again, guys, go check out www.hopewithjonathan.com. Thanks again for tuning in to the podcast. God bless you. Take care of your kidneys. Be safe out there.
Strong. Get strong.
Hey guys, welcome to Hope with Jonathan. I'm your host, Jonathan Traylor. And tonight we have a very, very special guest with you to bring to you tonight. Has an incredible story, and we'd like to bring her on Hope with Jonathan. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for joining the show tonight. Please, I'd ask for you to share this show with your friends. And I'm going to go ahead and bring on my good buddy, co-host, Kyle Hawkridge from Kidney Warrior Merch to join the show. And we want to bring him on now. Kyle, how are you doing?
Good, Jonathan. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. If I could get all the technical difficulties that are going on tonight. I had to switch to my phone. The computer was acting a little haywire with me, and I ended up having to switch on my phone, but that's okay. These things happen from time to time. But I wanted to bring you on tonight as our co-host tonight as we introduce our guest. How's things been going with you and Kidney Warrior Merch?
Everything's going good. Very excited to have this guest on. It's been a little trial to get her on, but we now have her, and I think she's going to tell an amazing story.
Absolutely, absolutely. Always an amazing story with Hope with Jonathan, and we always have a very special guest trying to focus on the warrior stories. This guest in particular has an incredible story. Her son was battling kidney disease. His name is Cayden. And Kyle, why don't you give us a little bit of history on the story?
Ginina came over to Kidney Warrior Merch and submitted her story to us. We had a little meet and greet and offered her this opportunity. I had a chance to meet with Cayden for a couple minutes, and he's an amazing little boy. Right. I mean, I'm going to let her tell her story. I'm not going to take away from giving her the opportunity.
Right. And you shared the story on your website that you share a lot of different warrior stories on www.kidneywarriormerch.com. And Kyle's sharing warrior stories on there. If you'll submit your story with Kyle, he'll put it on his Warriors wall. And as well, as you know, if you share your story, submit your story, and with Kyle, he selects a Warrior of the Month, and we'll end up doing an interview. So that's an amazing thing. Thanks, Kyle, for doing that. I think it's an awesome feature on your website, and I think it's a great thing that you're doing.
Thank you.
Yep. Hey, guys, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring on our special guest tonight, and let's welcome to the show Ginina.
everybody. Thank you for having me. I always love getting.
How are you doing tonight?
I am good and just enjoying getting to do this. I love sharing Cayden's story any chance I get. That's why I was really excited to get this opportunity.
Absolutely. I appreciate you doing the show with Hope with Jonathan, and I appreciate you submitting your story with Kyle and Kidney Warrior merch. And I've read over the story of Cayden on there by the blog that you submitted to him, and the bio story. And man, what an incredible story! I was really inspired, and definitely wanted to have you on the show. Why don't you tell everybody just a little bit about yourself?
Well, Cayden is my second. I have an older girl. She's 12. So when Cayden came along, I thought, I knew what I was doing. But he was definitely a surprise, and he stays that way. He never stops, with that smile, and just he lights up the world. Kyle said he met him, and he was all excited to tell him all the stuff he was doing with superheroes, and that's just who he is. And I think because he's had such a rough start, he's now he's got this joy that you just don't see in a lot of kids now. He's got this imagination, and he wants to go. He wants to know everybody. He wants to know what's going on in your life today. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. As most kids, they're real excited, and a lot of kids like superheroes. I know when I grew up, and I still do. I enjoyed like Batman, Superman, all the big major superstars, and then I'm still like a big fan of like Marvel movies. So all the new stuff that comes out and all these new movies, I'm such a huge fan of. So, and my kids are a little bit older than Cayden, but we sit down and normally enjoy. My son, he's 18, but we've always enjoyed those type of movies. I'm sure Cayden enjoys those as well.
Oh, he watches the Avengers cartoons, and he has all his guys lined up, and they're chopping, and he's like, "Look, Mom, look what they could do," and I'm like, "Okay." So he loves it.
Amazing. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about Cayden and about his story, and give us the full scoop. We'll let you tell it.
So Cayden, what we thought was normal, here he comes into the world at 2.5 weeks old. He was considered failure to thrive. So we were sent to the emergency room, and in our mind, okay, this is going to be a quick visit, maybe get a specialty, and he'll have a few appointments. Yeah. That turned into 69 days of just trying to figure out. So when we went in, he had a sodium of 129. Yeah. Of what you would want it to be 129, but his sodium was 109. So the doctor was shocked that he was even thriving at that point. So we're, thrown into this emergency room, into ultrasounds, into a whole world that we knew nothing about. And then right away, the specialist that he has now, the nephrologist, came in, and she said, "I know what it is." And one of the things about Cayden is most people are born with 2 ureters. Cayden was born with 3. So because of that, it created a balloon, a uterine seal. So then instead of going out, everything was just getting backed up. But by the time we caught it, the doctors caught it, the damage was done. So at this point, it was the big question of what do we do from here? So, okay, let's try to relieve the pressure. Let's try to get out the fluid. We did all that. We tried all that, tried to bring the kidney back. Unfortunately, as we know now, there was no bringing it back. It had done its damage. So now the question was, okay, what's our next step? He had a G-tube placed, and I learned all about what peritoneal dialysis was, which I knew nothing about. So they place his peritoneal dialysis catheter, which basically you're doing, instead of hemodialysis, which is blood, you're putting a fluid through him because his kidney can't regulate. His kidney cannot recycle, cannot function as a normal kidney should. Because the point of a kidney, the big point is your red blood cells and obviously to regulate your waste. He couldn't move any of that. So that's what the peritoneal dialysis does. It removes the waste. So here he is, 1 month old, already has a catheter, the dialysis catheter placed, his G-tube placed, and every day was up and down. There was no telling sometimes when I'd walk in the hospital what I was walking into. Those days, those first 69 days were so hard because I was ready for a baby, but not a kidney baby, which, as I come to find out, and many people know, no kidney patient is the same. So there is no go to this file, go look this up, you'll see the same case. It wasn't like that. So with Cayden, it was step by step. We had to learn it slowly because you can't rush it. You can't move too fast.
Yeah.
You can't push his body because here he is. He's 1 month old at this point. You can't push his body. You have to ease him into it. So every day I'm walking into the hospital, not sure where numbers were going to be, if we're going to be rushed into a procedure. And I have a 7-year-old at home trying to go. I spent the week driving to the hospital every day, driving home, dropping my daughter off at school, trying to learn all these medical terms. Medical terms I had no idea. We had to learn creatinine numbers, BUN numbers, because I wanted to make sure that when they told me numbers, what was I looking for? You can tell me all the numbers all day, but if I don't know what I'm looking for, it does me no good. So I spent a lot of time questions. What is this? Why are we doing this? The nurses on the PICU learned real quick, don't do anything unless I know, because they put an NG tube in his nose at night, and I came in the next day and I was like, whoa, what did you do? And I was like, oh no, you explain to me what we're doing because I want to be through every step, because with these kidney kids, each step is so important because you can't miss one vital spot. You miss that question. That's the thing. People think, oh, it's just one simple number. In a normal, healthy person, which all kidney people are healthy. That's how I see it. As long as your numbers are good. But for Cayden, because he was so small, each number had to be gradually moved up or moved down, because moved too fast and his body would struggle to respond. So first, like I said, the first time they put a G-tube in him, and a G-tube is there to get his medicine, get his feed, because he didn't have really that taste for a bottle. So that was the one thing I did insist, was that he keep the bottle even if he was on feed. So I was learning how to work with the G-tube. I'll never forget, I sat in a chair, they handed him to me, the G-tube popped out. I was scared out of my mind that I broke him. I told the nurse, I broke him. Take him, I broke him. And she was like, you didn't break him. It happens. And I was like, okay, but still take him, because I really was like, I thought I broke him.
Yeah.
But G-tube is so important. He has it now because he dehydrates fast. I don't think everyone realizes how much fluid you need to take in. That's one of the biggest things with Cayden, especially. He dehydrates. So we learned when he was small, they really had to find that balance every day. It was just, okay, here I am. What are the numbers today? What are we looking at? That's what I did for 69 days.
Wow.
If I tell you I remember, really, there are certain moments that stick out. Some of it's a blur, because I was just, he needed me to be there. I needed to be there every day to, okay, where are we? Who's on the team? Because as kidney patients, you guys have a team. Cayden has an amazing team. They've been with him since he was little. He's been with the same nephrologist. She is amazing. We just saw her this morning, as a matter of fact, because he went to get checked for numbers. But those first almost 3 months were the toughest months, because there were definitely moments where you kind of look at him and go, how much more can he take?
Wow.
How much more can we, we got to the point where we couldn't stick him for IVs anymore, because he's so tiny. The veins were, blowing.
Yeah.
We had to get to the point where we stuck it in his head.
Oh.
I will tell you, there's nothing like seeing that, but we had no choice. His feet, he couldn't go through his legs. I mean, the head was the last place, then it's not something that I can tell you is great to look at.
No.
But we had to do it, and it's tough. When you're in that atmosphere, you're just going, but then you kind of sit back and you're like, "Whew, okay,
yeah,
we made it." So
I couldn't imagine. I mean, being a parent myself, watching your child go through something traumatic, like that. Where do you find your sense of strength from?
Him, because I can only say to myself, if he can go through all of that, then the least I can do is stand there and be his advocate, be the push he needs. If I wasn't sure, if I had a question, what are we doing? Stop, time out. We need to reevaluate, or whatever it is, that I figured that's the least I can do. He has fought hard to be here. Like I said, we had some low moments, and we always, in the back of your mind, you do worry, but he's got strength. And if he can do this, the least I can do is stand by him, be an advocate, and just keep his world, as in the moment as we can, because that's what's so important.
So was his situation kind of a rare situation, or what are the likelihoods of a child experiencing something like what you guys faced with Cayden?
In our case, it was really rare because there's no genetics. We went through both sides of the family. There was no history. That's why when it occurred, we were hit. Some people can get the ultrasounds, prepare, all of that. We don't have any history. And my oldest child, as healthy as anything. I mean, she very rarely gets sick. So there was there's no thought of, oh, this might come up. We've been through the line, down to great-great-grandpa. There is no even, it's just one of those rare genetic things that happen with Cayden.
So he ended up ultimately having to do dialysis for how long?
15 months.
15 months. Wow. That is incredible that he had to do it that long.
And that's the thing too, is because when you're kind of in it, you don't realize how uncomfortable he was, because all that fluid sits in that little body because that has to regulate him all day. Right. So just rolling over was hard. Just getting him to sit up. I mean, he was at PT, physical therapy 3 times a week just to try to get his muscles where he could at least sit, because that's, even though he was happy, you can tell now that he was uncomfortable, because you look back at the pictures and you can see his little face was all swollen, because he was full of the fluid. Plus he got special feeds because the goal was to get him to 21 pounds. Right. Then he would be big enough for an adult-sized kidney.
Right.
But special kidney kids, they gain ounces. They don't gain pounds. So we'd be excited by an ounce, 2 ounces. Yeah. So that's why it was 15 months, because he had to get to 21 pounds before they would consider him, putting him even on the list, because anything less than that is not safe, because he has an adult, and it's a very large kidney, actually, the one he has. Mm-hmm. So in that case, they have to get to the 21 pounds. They have to get, all these labs cleared. They have to take all these steps. So, you're making sure they get their dialysis. You're making sure they go to their kidney appointments, their physical therapy, their, occupational, all the different things for 15 months just to try to get him, that's what we kept in front of us. We want you at 21 pounds. So you don't want to miss a feed. You don't leave your house because you're like, I don't want to miss a feed. He's got to get, because every ounce counts. You want to get him to what I call his second chance, So
Cayden has received a kidney, correct?
Yes.
Would you like how would you like to tell the story of where he got his kidney from?
So in Cayden's case, we got it through an exchange program, which I don't, I think sometimes we forget, because it's not, I had to read up on it too. But basically, my little brother gave a kidney to a little boy in Virginia, actually. So that way a gentleman from Colorado gave his kidney, which is the one Cayden has now. And the gentleman, actually, funny enough, in Colorado, the reason he donated was because he had gone to a seminar and had heard all about kidney donation and the program. And he said he was just moved to help somebody because he said, I have two, I only need one. Why should I have two when all these people are waiting on a list? So that's how it was explained to us, is why he actually gave his kidney. So that's how Cayden was able to get it, because we had to do. And then the little boy in Virginia, his dad actually gave to someone else. So it was a full circle.
Right.
Yep.
Do you know how many people were in the chain, or was that the end?
I think that was the end. I think the dad to that little boy was done, as far as we were told. So.
And have you had an opportunity to meet your donor?
Our donor actually wanted to really remain anonymous. Okay. He just wanted the gift to be what it was. He was really just happy to donate and happy that it found a home, as I say. So that was his thing. He just wanted, you know what I mean? Like I said, he was really touched. And when he heard all the facts about the people, waiting on a list, all the people who are just, some unfortunately passing before they even get their kidney, he's like, here I am. I got two. I should give one. So that was his, his way of saying, here you go, his gift.
Now, I know you're in South Carolina, correct?
Yes.
Did the transplant happen in South Carolina or Colorado?
In South Carolina. They brought the kidney in. So my brother went to surgery. It was February 21st, 2017. My brother went to surgery that morning. We had to have him there by 6 o'clock. So that kidney went. They pulled Cayden about 4:30. And then they called us again. You're waiting out in this waiting room, basically pacing, at 10 o'clock to tell us, okay, we've got it in there. It was larger than they thought. So they warned us that when he would come out, he wouldn't actually be closed. So when we saw him again at 1:30, he was out, obviously, but he was open. So you could see everything because it was so swollen, and then it was such a large kidney that normally they would leave your natural kidney in there. But because the kidney was so large, they actually took his out. So he only actually has the one smaller one that does not work, and then his transplant, but they had to leave him open. So that was a bit of a shock at 1:30 in the morning. There he is, like, laid out, all kind of, and there's just mesh. So you can see everything. They prepare you for a lot. I give the doctors MUSC. They gave him a beautiful chance. They prepare you for about everything. But I was not ready for that. Like 1:30, I've slept all day. I've been there since 5:30 in the morning. And he's just, they said, well, we got to wait till the morning so the swelling would go down. So that way they could stitch him up, which meant he had to go back into the ER. And then from February 21st was 30 days in the hospital. They thought it would be about 2 weeks. But Cayden's kidney, which is going to sound weird, but it didn't, wake up right away. So, right. Which I didn't realize that could happen. Yeah. So Cayden's kidney did not wake up, which is kind of an odd concept. So we kind of got him to wake up, but then he would swell. So we'd have to put him back to sleep, intubate, and I saw them do hemo lines in his neck. I watched his first biopsy, and I watched them intubate. I was standing next to medical students. I'm okay. I've seen enough. Ooh. I don't need to go to medical school. I've seen enough. But
wow.
Yeah, we had to make tough choices because then at one point he was on so much medication. There's this amazing doctor. She and I kind of had to have a conversation. We had to pull her to the side and we had to say, well, he's up too high. He was about 18 months old and he's looking at the ceiling. He's not even looking at you. So we knew they had gone too high. So we had to wean him off, which is a weird process because normally you hear about that in adult, not that they didn't carefully regulate, but he was just so quick in reaction. He just would swell and then, okay, everyone's reacting. So we had to bring him back down. He'd wake up here and there, but it was a full 24 days before he woke up, and then another 6 to transition him from the PICU floor to regular floor till he could go home. But he dehydrates really quick. So probably from about March to October of that year, we were in and out. We were back and forth. So it was tough.
I got a question. So how did Cayden, what was his response, and how was his spirit and emotions during this time?
It's funny. He actually was the ham. I have pictures of him when we'd finally wake him up, and he is this green sponge, and, the nurses would be so excited because when you're in that type of care, we got to know a lot of the PICU nurses from going in and out. We got to know a lot of the regular nurses. So Cayden was their favorite. He learned, because he didn't talk till he was almost 2, he had sign language. And so he would entertain them that way. And he has a love of music. Cayden loves music above anything else. You put music on and he's going to dance. Right. So they would put music and he would go and he would move. So even through it all, he kind of found his own center of happiness. Like, he'd still light up. It's funny because his doctor is like one of his favorite people. And this is a doctor he's been through, but she's one of his favorite people. Like, he loves telling his classmates when he's on virtual school about his doctor, and they're like, that's not, they don't know. But for Cayden, like, that's who he grew up with. She would walk him down the hallway when he finally learned. They would put music on and he would sit in the bed and he would clap, and he just found his happiness, even kind of through everything. He was always a pretty happy guy.
Yeah, music can be very therapeutic. So.
Oh, yeah. You put that on and there goes Cayden.
Well, so you mentioned school. Did you go to regular school?
This year, because of the pandemic, we've done virtual. I've been teaching preschool at home. So he'll go back, though. His team agrees that he can go back in the fall for kindergarten because enough people here in South Carolina will have had their vaccinations. I have mine. I actually just got my oldest today. So his doctor feels that more than enough teachers, students, well, at least the younger ones, parents will have gotten it. Because I think people need to know that, it's important they get this vaccine, not just for themselves, but for people like Cayden, because we're not sure when he can get his, although he said he would sign right up. He told his sister, I'll go. So he's excited, though, because he gets to go back. And he said, I'm going to go see my friends, and he's going to go play, he missed that this year.
No, in the future, will he be able to play any sports or participate in anything, or is it a precaution?
For him, it's just really the contact sports. We actually were able to do a small year of t-ball, and he enjoyed it. Yes, it was more rolling in the dirt, but he loved it because it was the first time, I think, like, he was on a team. He's watched his sister be on the team. He's watched other people. For him, he was on a team. He could run the bases. Yes, he ran right past them. He didn't stop. They had to get a coach to just stand there and go, no, Cayden, run but he loved it. So he can't wait till, next year when it's a little bit less scary to go back to that. We do swim lessons now, so he enjoys that.
So how old is Cayden now?
He's 5. He'll be 6 in September.
Okay. Awesome. And his function of the kidney and his labs and all that now are doing really well?
Yep, we've been getting a lot of really good labs. We had one number that kind of was going up and down, but from what the doctor said, they think it's more scar tissue, which unfortunately, one we got to roll with. So we just make the best of it for right now. He still just sees you know how that is, scar tissue. We can't, as much as I want to take it away.
What are you going to do?
We got to roll with it. So
it's amazing. You said he was born with 3 uterus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd never heard that before. This is like a first for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of firsts with Cayden, like the 3 ureters, and then his sodium was 109, which for his nephrologist who had been, in kidney for, I think she said 15 years at the time, she had never seen a sodium that low, and he was still that chill baby. Like when she came in to check him out, he was laying, one of those big emergency room beds. He's like this big, and he just looked up at her with these bright eyes, and she's like, he's sick. And that's also one of the things we found with Cayden is he's very good at hiding when he's sick. So sometimes we don't, he's very good at that. And we think it's because his body had to adapt for so long. So, but yeah, he's just, you wouldn't know it. If you look at him, if he runs through the yard, he's just going. That's it.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And you say now he's really active and likes to play and run around and living his best life with transplant.
That's all we can hope is, that he just wakes up every day and he's just the happiest guy ever. I mean, if you can just let him out in the yard with a soccer ball, there he goes. He's just that and the superheroes. He takes off and there's no, you gotta go, come on, Cayden, you gotta come. He won't come back. He just keeps running.
Who's his favorite?
He would have to say Captain America or Hulk. Those are his two favorites.
Okay. Captain America. Yeah. He's a really cool character.
Yeah, that's what Cayden thinks. He likes to throw his shield, so you got to watch out. Every once in a while, the shield just goes flying by.
Yeah, I've got one here. I've got a actual authentic Captain America shield.
Do not show that to him because he would tell you that that's his.
and it's metal too.
Oh my! Yep, Cayden would love that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I definitely enjoy the movies. So
that's good. He likes to sit and he gets really excited, and then he'll jump up and he'll start and I'm like, no, I'm not super. Don't come at me.
I actually have a suit as well that was given to me by an advocate friend. So, yeah. So, I wouldn't wear it for the interview though.
Yeah, I was just saying, Cayden might be like, wait, where's mine? He's got the capes though. He likes to wear his capes, and we got him the little mask, so he likes to put those on. As long as he's not standing on the furniture, we're okay. He can fly anywhere he'd like. Just don't fly off the furniture. That's my rule.
Yeah. Well, Cayden has an amazing story, and I'm really glad that you had the opportunity to come on and share the story. It's an amazing opportunity for you to share and talk about awareness and things like that. Appreciate you coming on. It's an awesome story, and amazing story of overcoming, surviving, and overcoming obstacles, because life is, as you know, it has its ups and downs. So this is just one of those stories that's really impactful for those that are going through something that's that's tough and definitely takes a lot of strength. Why don't you talk a little bit about your support? Who's your support, or what type of support do you lean upon?
Definitely in the beginning, I had some, I have some great friends. My village got a little smaller because I don't think always, I think when you get in a situation like that, people aren't always sure, like, how do I approach this? But I have some really good friends who even, I can call up now and they know, like, okay, they know the certain codes, like, oh boy, you know what I mean? And they've come through, when I need someone to watch my oldest, especially those back and forths. My oldest has an amazing grandparent. She is, Christmas Eve one year, I had to call her and go, I got to bring him in. And she said, okay, I'll meet you and then go. Like, you have to have those people, because it's hard. My family is all up north. So I've kind of made my own family with friends, and they're amazing. I can't tell you times I had to call them and they go, okay, where do you need me? Where do I pick up a mirror? Because that's my oldest, that first time when I was in the pediatrician and had to run to MUSC with Cayden, when the pediatrician looks at me and goes, I'm sorry, you have no choice. You have to go. Here's the map. They're waiting for you. I had to call my oldest Nana, and I was like, okay, she's at school. I don't know what else to tell you. Can you pick her up? No questions asked, and having those people in your corner who you can call and they go, okay, they just know, or those people that in the tough days where, maybe we've all kind of had a meltdown because we're, sometimes Cayden's a little tired, they show up with coffee. Coffee is my friend. But I'm lucky. I have some really good friends who, even, through all the crazy, they're still there, and everyone, they text me and they're like, "Hey, still there? Like, do you need anything? Do you need a minute?" And like I said, when I got to go, because as we know with these, especially with Cayden, things can change like this, and they go,
sure.
"Okay, how can I help?" That means more, than anything, because sometimes you got to drop and roll. That's why I always say.
Support is huge, especially, friends, sometimes family, but, sometimes people don't have family. So you have to depend upon friends, or sometimes, your local church or community center, or wherever you can find, support. Anytime you're dealing with a chronic illness or a situation, you need support. It's not easy to go through alone. And if you're a person of faith, you definitely depend upon your faith, prayers, things like that. And also, you need someone to talk to and release all those, emotions and things like that you want to kind of get out. You don't want to leave those in, especially when you're dealing with something like kidney disease. It's so it has its physical debilitating, aspects, but then the mental debilitation is very, very real and very strong, because it can definitely depress you. It can cause you a lot of stress, especially at the beginning. So it's great to have a very strong support team, and people around you that are positive. And I'm sure you found that with your friends.
Yeah, well, I think too, one of the bigger lessons I learned, because I think at first I I felt like, okay, I got to do this. It's your time. And I realized, like, you have to ask for that help. You can't, you know what I mean? You have to be able to say, okay, whew, because when this happened, like, I didn't know anyone, who had a child like Cayden. I didn't know anyone, so I think in that sense, like, I kind of was like, okay, I got this. Like, I can do this. And then one day I realized, no, you got to ask for the help. And I think that's one of the big things too, is when I, tell the story and bring the awareness, is like, don't be afraid of that, because you have to ask the questions. You have to ask for help, or else, like you said, all those emotions, because this is not it's going to end tomorrow. This is a lifetime.
Yeah.
And that's what I always say with Cayden is a journey. You know what I mean? Because it's ongoing. It's not gonna. We can't put a Band-Aid on it and fix it. We have to put those things in place. The emotional support, all of that.
Yeah, it's not a 100-yard dash. It's a lifelong track meet. And,
exactly.
You're going to have little bumps in the road and things that's going to come up. Sometimes you're going to slow down, speed up, but there's going to be things that happen. You may trip a little bit along the way, but, it's staying engaged and being your own advocate. You have to be your own best advocate. And like you said, asking questions and things like that, and talking with people. The more I don't believe there's a stupid question when it comes to, your health and kidney disease and things like that. As a matter of fact, I met with my nephrologist team today, and I stayed on the phone. Normally it's about a 5-minute conversation, but we were on the phone on the telehealth for about 15 minutes because, I had some questions. And, I just really feel like it's important that if you have questions, you should definitely ask them, and don't bite your tongue, because you're talking about your health. So it's important to ask questions for sure.
Well, that's what I always say too. And with Cayden, it's so important, because we're looking lifelong. That's what we want for all the kidney. You know what I'm saying? We want this to be lifelong. So that's why I always say with Cayden too, always ask what he can do rather than say what he can't do. Let's figure out where he fits in, rather than just saying, no, he can't. I'd rather have people, I've had people who say, oh, I don't know if I should ask you this, or I'd rather you ask me than you just say, well, maybe he can't, like, that's so important. And like you said, with the doctors, and that's why he's so lucky, because he is an amazing nephrologist, and she's family. Like, we can go to her and be like, hey, what do you think? Like, when we're starting with the world opening back up, how far do we bring Cayden? What can we do? So we've started with the baby steps, and then, but having the team, the questions, it's really so important.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break real quick and let a message come in through here, and then we'll be right back. Okay, guys? Y'all stay in touch with Hope with Jonathan. Please share this with your friends. Really appreciate everybody reaching out. Melissa Trailer, thank you for watching. That's my wife. So hello, Melissa. Thank you for watching and commenting. Steve Belcher, appreciate you, brother. Philip Jones, appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Again, we've got Robert Love. Appreciate you watching. And again, Maureen Brinley. Thank you so much. Appreciate everyone's commenting. For watching the show. We'll be right back after these messages. Thanks again, guys, for going back. Kyle, I really appreciate you having us do this show and bringing Ginina Swift with Cayden in front of me and bringing, suggesting her to come on Hope with Jonathan. This has been a really impactful, informative show, not only for awareness, just for the story of strength and overcoming life and especially dealing with a child that's gone through something so dramatic. This has definitely been a powerful story, and it's going to give hope to other people that are battling sort of the same things. It's always important, I think, to share your story for that aspect, is because you never know who it's going to come across, and you never know who you're going to inspire. And like the name of the show, give hope. So we definitely appreciate you coming on and doing this show. Kyle, did you have any more questions for Ginina?
Yeah, I actually, not really questions, just comments. We meet a lot of adults, and that's the patients we meet. And meeting your son, even for that 2 minutes that I was able to get his attention, he's such an amazing boy. And, I follow you. I watch the pictures, him eating his ice cream, playing at the park. And he's always so happy. He's such an amazing young boy. But for you, I'm not a kidney patient myself. I'm the partner of a kidney patient. My wife has kidney disease. And I know on this side it can be very tough. But I could never imagine being a mother or a father of a child with kidney disease. So I really commend you for your strength, for moving forward every day and taking care of your son and giving him the best life you can possibly give him. So I commend you for everything you've done for your son. And I commend you for bringing his story to life, because I think I remember when we talked one time, one of the things you said, you found it very hard to find information or support of another mom. So I hope this interview will bring out a connection for you that you're going to help someone else. But you're amazing too. He is, you are, your whole family is really amazing. And so keep it up. And I mean, we're here to help you too. And I want to talk to him again. I wish it wasn't so late. I'm sure he's in bed right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because he just goes. So if we can get him to lay down, as long as his body's not moving.
Maybe sometime we could bring both of you on. This is a really laid back atmosphere, and maybe even if it was just for a few minutes, maybe he could come on. So maybe we'll have you back on the show sometime. And
he was so happy. I remember. He was happy. I was his first Canadian he ever got to talk to. He wanted to come play in the snow.
Yeah. We don't really get a lot of snow here in South Carolina. So.
Kyle's the only Canadian I speak to, and sometimes I wonder why. But
I'm still waiting for my moose.
Yeah. You can tell them that Ginina thinks that there's moose roaming all around Canada freely.
Right. In the Canadian shows, there's moose everywhere.
Right, moose and Mounties. So we're, because every time you see something on TV or a show, they show these Canadian Mounties, and according to Kyle, they're not very much around. So I was too. I was let down. I felt lied to.
Walking by and you'd see moose and he said no, and I was like, well, what?
The day we spoke, I was near a park, and she asked me to show her a moose, and it was just an empty park. There was no.
Kyle, you should have just smiled and said, "There you go."
Yeah.
You kind of resemble Bullwinkle. So. No, just kidding. All love. Not, I love to joke around. I'm sorry. Let me mute this. That's my med alarm. So I have my immune suppressant set to my phone. So, but anyway, I'm a kidney transplant patient as well. So I take my immune suppressants, and that's a good way to learn how to take your meds is by setting an alarm on your phone. So.
And I see that, and that's things that I'm like, okay, when Cayden gets old enough, we got.
Yeah. No, it's amazing because I'm in a mindset where I already know I have to take them, but the phone helps. And there's been situations that we've been out and, I get caught up in the moment, and then all of a sudden my phone will go off and I go, oh yeah, that's right. I got to take my meds. Yeah. And so it's a great way, we're always carrying our phones. And so it's kind of a not foolproof plan, but it's a good plan to have. And I have both of them set in the morning and in the nighttime. So it's a great plan.
Let me ask you one question. If you can give encouragement or advice to any other parent out there with a child with kidney disease, what would you encourage or advice would you give them?
The best, some of the best advice I got was from a case manager, one of the first ones we ever had at the hospital. She had been there since 1988. And, here I am but she said to live life with an eraser, which is my, you see it on my Facebook group, and it's something I live by because I'm a planner, but as I learned with Cayden, I can't really plan and I have to know that it's okay. So it was just such a great advice because we get so stuck on we have to. And with these kids, you have to be willing to say, no, we don't, and you have to be willing to be that advocate. Don't be scared to say, oh, I'm not okay with that. We got to back up. I'll tell you a story. So there was a new med student that came in during Cayden's stay for transplant. And he was just you could tell he was very kind of too confident. But then he kept asking me weird questions. And I told the nurse, I said, don't bring him back in here. I said, don't let him go near anybody else, because then he will have every parent in here scared. Because I already knew how things were, I could kind of go, that's not right. You're not asking me. You know what I mean? But I told the nurse, I said, don't let him go near anybody else, because it was his bedside man, and it was just, but you have to be not afraid to do those things. Because sometimes, we get, okay, they know for sure. Sometimes as parents, we have to listen and go, wait. This is my kid. I got to advocate because, like I said, this is a lifetime of advocate. And, I'm advocating now, but I'm also trying to teach him to advocate, because he's going to be in that room one day and I won't always be there. So he has to know, I can stand up for myself. And that's something, I try to teach Cayden from the get-go. Funny story, when he was a kidney, they check his belly and everything. And he was like, no touch my privates. He knows the rules. Right. You have to teach him that, because these are things that, we carry them now. I carry it now, but eventually I will have to say, Cayden, you're gonna have to, I won't know what to do, but I have to hand it over to him. And that's the biggest thing is we have to be their voice when they have no voice, but then we also have to teach them to be their own voice, because like you said, you take your medicine. Well, that's on, that has to be on you. So that's something he has to learn as well. Okay, my med. Okay, wait, something didn't make sense in my appointment today. I will be there for Cayden 100%, but I can't be there every doctor's appointment, after 18, you know what I mean? I'll go with you. But he has to be in that chair. He has to.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Kyle. It's all
Speaking
good.
about the medicines, like Jonathan just took his pills. For Cayden, is it in a liquid format or is he taking pills?
No, he takes the liquid and the G tube for right now, because he's just not. There's no way we could get him because he takes about 8. He takes about 10 medicines. So to get a 5-year-old, that'd be really. I mean, he takes his allergy medicine.
This right here. This keeps me straight right here. This is how I do it. It's I have
a 16-year-old that can't take an Advil or a Tylenol, so
exactly.
Yeah. I think it's great advice what you were talking about, and then I'm kind of facing the same scenario because my children are older now. I've got an 18-year-old, a 17-year-old, and my 18-year-old's in college. He just finished his first year of college, and my 17-year-old just graduated high school. And I'm kind of in that in-between stage where, do I let them go ahead and start deciding to do things? And it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to let go sometimes as a parent. My son reminded me the other day. He's like, Dad, I'm going to be a sophomore in college next year. Can you kind of back off a little bit? I'm like, no, you don't understand. Until you have children, you're never going to understand that, But at some point, I do realize I had to kind of take a step back and said, you know what? Yeah, I've got to kind of start, backpedaling just a little bit and letting him kind of learn some things. So, but it's tough, and it's a task. But I think that just goes along with being a parent. I know my mom, even though I'm 43. She still worries about me. She still, calls. We still talk on the regular. And, she's told me before herself, she says, I'll never stop worrying about you. And so I think this is just a God-given installed thing that you'll always be, thoughtful and thinking about your welfare of your children, so.
Especially when you look at kids with, what I'm saying? We're just trying to get to, the older ones, like, I'm just trying to get them ready for the world. But with Cayden, I got to get them ready you got to take medicine, and you got to have, the attitude. You got to have, that's a big thing is the right attitude because, when they kind of get in that teenage year, that's when you get a lot of that attitude. You got to make sure that's important where they understand how important his medicine is. Why does, and he's been a lot of that this year. And when he first went to school, the nurse does that. The nurse was amazing about telling him, this is good. This helps you. This, she was so positive about it. So he'd come home and tell me, Mom, this keeps my kidney happy. It keeps me happy. So as long as you kind of also keep that attitude about it, that will help him in the long run because you never want them to see his medicine as a negative or as something that's wrong, because that you have to be so careful.
Yeah, it's needed, and you have to have that medication. And, you're instilling this while he's young, so I don't think he'll have a problem, adapting to it. He's just going to think it's way of life, just like, I had to adapt to it as well. And he's starting while he's young, so it's just another way of life. I'm sure by the time he's my age, he'll be all good. So, but what an impactful story, guys, here on Hope with Jonathan. I really appreciate you, Ginina, coming on and sharing your story of faith, love, hope, and surviving. And just a great, impactful, positive, motivational, inspiring story. You know what? Where can people find you at as far as like any kind of social media or anything like that if they wanted to contact you?
I'm on Facebook. I'm on, and you can post it in the comments. I'm on Instagram. I just recently started a group, kind of trying to get other parents, especially in South Carolina. Like, I'm all for all medical fragile kids, but especially in South Carolina because I feel like there's that need for it because there's not, many, or if there are, we're all over, and we don't know about each other. So we can't, connect. Sometimes the hospital gives you groups, but then they're not in your area or they're not in your time. So if you can kind of find that one group where you can bounce those, hey, I'm just having a rough day, or I just tell funny stories. Like, funny enough, the other day, sometimes I talk about how, like you were saying, we get used to like these things in our world and this is our normal, but like his G2, is different. But to Cayden, I'll never forget the day I watched my friend's daughter, and Cayden tried to give her a G-tube because he thought it was weird. Like, he goes up to people and he's like, I have one kidney. Do you? Because I'm cool. Like, that's, like, how many 5-year-olds are walking around like Food Lion going, do you have one kidney? Not many. But, like, for him, and sometimes I forget how normal that is in our life. Like, okay, G-tubes, medicine, and I forget, like, sometimes that's not, But Cayden's really good about making people feel comfortable. That's how he is. That's his personality.
No, I totally can. I understand where you come from, because my son had a bacteria infection in his upper lung, and he had to do a hospital stay, and they ended up putting a central line on his side, and he had it for a little while, and we were having to inject medication in it, antibiotics and heparin and all these different fluids to try to fight it. And I remember he would walk around to other kids and say, I have an IV. And it was like normal to him. Like, he was just telling people. And, they would look at him like, I don't have one of those. But, but he had that same type of spirit. Like, he didn't care. He was just telling people, like, I got an IV. So, I just think kids are like that. They're very observant, and they're aware, and they're not afraid to tell you things, so they don't hold back. To tell you anything. He goes in virtual class, and I'll be like, look, everybody, look at my G-tube, because I get the protectors. So they're like Captain America, they're the Hulk. He's like, look what I got. And I'm like, because the kids are like, what is that? And he's totally like, look, it goes in and out. And I'm like, okay, you freaking the kids. Like, you got to stop doing that. They're going to go home, and their parents are going to call me, because they're going to be like, what is your son doing? But he thinks that's hilarious. No, but I think it's great, though, because in a way, even though it's, kind of comical to us, it brings awareness and lets people know, what's going on, and gets people to ask questions, and stuff like that, to let people know, his story. Gives you an opportunity to share your story with them as well. So I think that's impactful.
That's one thing I do like. I've gotten a lot better about, like, I want to share, bring that awearness and let people know, like, it is okay. It's a tough journey. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be over tomorrow, and it's lifelong. But we'll figure it out. We'll take it day by day. We'll get through it, and like you said, with all the bumps, you kind of just roll with it, and we figure it out in the end. Yeah. It's not easy, but you can do it.
Yeah. Well, Ginina, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with Hope with Jonathan. And I really appreciate you submitting your story. Guys, you can go over to www.kidneywarriormerch.com and read Cayden's story on the Warriors Wall. Kyle has a Warriors Wall page that he shares Warrior stories on, and you can read his story there. It's very impactful. Also, this show will be also on Hope with Jonathan YouTube channel, so you'll be able to go back and watch that at any time. Really appreciate you coming on, sharing your story, and I pray that you guys will stay continued great health, and God bless you, and God bless Cayden and your family, and thank you very much for coming on and sharing your impactful story.
Thank you.
All right, well, guys, again, this has been another show with Hope with Jonathan. We're going to go ahead and close this show out. You guys take care. God bless. Stay safe out there. Remember to continue to be COVID-minded. Wash your hands. Use your hand sanitizer. Wear your mask definitely in public places, even though they're even talking about, lifting the mask and all this stuff. You do need to be aware that transplant patients are still at risk from the studies that we're seeing. So you need to really be careful out there. Still continue to be COVID mindful and continue to take care of yourself. Be safe out there. But hey, guys, on that note, we're going to leave you here. Again, it's been another great show, Hope with Jonathan. Kyle, appreciate you coming on, brother, all the way from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. God bless you. Take care. Yeah. No Mounties running around in Toronto. But you guys take care, and we need to get together sometime and do this again. It's a great, impactful show. So, but you guys take care. We're going to go ahead and end this show. You have anything to say, Kyle?
No, just thank you to both of you. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for coming on. And I'll go to the zoo and I'll take a picture of a moose. Okay.
Ginina, you have anybody that you want to send a shout out to or say hello to or goodbye to on the show?
Well, I do want to thank my friend Maureen, who you did shout out. She did comment. She's another one of my rocks out there. So I have to comment for her. And then Cayden brand reps for Littlest Prince. So a lot of them are listening because they follow with Cayden. So I can't thank you guys enough. I love telling his story. So thank you for letting me share it today.
Absolutely. This is also going to be eventually on my podcast as well. I try to release them as soon as I can, but I have a few stacked up behind. But eventually it will be released also on my Hope with Jonathan podcast that's streaming on Apple Podcast, Spotify, those type of networks. So you can find it pretty much anywhere. But this live interview will be on YouTube. So anytime you want to share it, I'll share it with you after the show. Okay?
Okay.
All right, guys. Appreciate everyone for tuning in, sharing this show. Y'all take care. God bless you. KidneyTrails.com. Kidney Trails is an organization that is dedicated to helping those that may be facing kidney disease by education, inspiration, and motivation, by bringing real-life experience from those that have traveled the road of kidney disease, and also information from the medical professionals to help you on your journey. Guys, Kidney Trails offers blog writings from many different writers and authors who give an aspect and real life experiences with battling kidney disease, dialysis, transplant, and more. Guys, KidneyTrails.com has videos. They also offer a podcast called the Kidney Trails Podcast. And soon to be released, a comic book is coming out. Guys, for more information on this, go to www.kidneytrails.com. Hey guys, welcome to Hope with Jonathan podcast. Thanks for all the support for the podcast, also for Hope with Jonathan. Definitely appreciate it. If you're interested in helping out and supporting what we're doing with Hope with Jonathan and the Hope with Jonathan podcast, you can definitely do so by clicking on the listener support. Also, you can find us on social media at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're also on YouTube, and you can find us also on TikTok. All you have to do is type in Hope with Jonathan, and you can find Hope with Jonathan podcast. You can find us on almost all platforms, mainly on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We're on some others, but feel free to find us on any platform that you can. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in and listening to Hope with Jonathan. Appreciate your support. Thank you very much. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in to the Hope with Jonathan podcast. Really appreciate Ginina coming on, sharing her story. Again, guys, you can go over to www.hopewithjonathan.com. You can listen to our podcast over there. You can check out Warriors in Need. Check out our friends page. And just check out pretty much anything that's on there. I've been building it for a while, trying to get it completed. Also, check out the videos that are on there for live streaming interviews. Definitely you want to check that out. Again, guys, that'll pretty much lead to the YouTube channel where you can enjoy a whole list of different interviews. I think I counted the other day, I've done about 50 interviews within the last year. So there's different videos on there. Also toward the beginning of my journey with Hope with Jonathan, talking about home dialysis and things like that. So if you want to check those out as well, you can go over and check those out. Again, guys, really appreciate all the love and support for the podcast. And I want to send another shout out to KWM, Kyle Hawkers, for featuring Hope with Jonathan on his website. Also, for collaborating with me and doing these Warrior of the Month stories. So shout out to Kyle and KWM, www.kidneywarriormerch.com. And also, guys, go check out as well. I want you guys to go check out as well, www.kidneytrails.com. If you want to read some blogs about different aspects of kidney disease and kidney transplant, and kidney dialysis, and things like that. So there's all kind of different interesting articles over there and blogs that have been written by many different, a whole bunch of different authors that are on there. So go check that out as well. But hey, guys, really appreciate all the support for the podcast. Again, this is Jonathan. God bless you guys. Love on everyone. And again, take care of your kidneys.